This is News 6 Tonight.
I find it somewhat ironic that the 37-year-old Attorney General is attacking me personally, attacking our board. I spent more years on the streets of Florida patrolling our streets as a law enforcement officer than he's been alive.
Ooh, okay.
Spicy.
I have covered and known Jerry Demings for quite a while, and I don't know that I have ever seen the Orange County mayor as fired up as he was today. Welcome to News 6 Tonight. We're ringing the bell. We have quite the matchup going on. I'm Matt Austin.
I'm Ginger Gadsden. It is really interesting when you see the war of words we have going on in Orange County right now. It's one of those days, Matt, and I don't know how you feel about it, where I wish the show were an hour long.
I know.
Because we need way more time, but always be careful what you wish for. But that was Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings, and he is known for being very even keel. And for him, that was spicy. That was
for anybody. That was a little spicy.
The reason he's saying he's talking about our Florida's Attorney General James Othmeyer, who sent a letter to Orange County leaders saying that if you do not abide by this addendum to ICE detainees, meaning transporting them to Alligator Alcatraz, you will face the consequences, including maybe being removed from office. And so this.
I want to call him sheriff.
I know, because the mayor fired back and said that he will not be bullied into signing this addendum. Mike Valenti did a story. It's 287G is what the addendum is called. But we're just saying that means that they now have to transport ICE detainees to Alligator Alcatraz.
Exactly. It's a little inside baseball.
Yeah,
now that they're bickering back and forth, we had covered that there was a letter for an audit of Orange County.
That's a whole different story.
That's not anything to do with this,
No.
but it is also the state targeting the county. In this case, it is one detail of the immigration process. Orange County has already agreed to take in detainees and put them in the Orange County jail. That's a done deal. But this one addendum, they said, we don't want to have to be responsible for traveling, for paying for gas, and for a deputy to transport them down to Alligator
And
Alcatraz.
the governor and, of course, the attorney general says what that amounts to is Orange County becoming sort of a sanctuary city. And that did not sit well with Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. But we talked to the AG. We sent one of our reporters to a press conference that was happening about something else and asked the AG what he thought about what the mayor said about him, and this is what James Othmeyer had to say.
Attorney General, what's your reaction to Mayor Demings saying today, if they did do these transports, they, one, need more resources, and two, they would need more reimbursement? And do you have a message for any possible consequences if they don't agree to these transports at all?
Well, I think the law has some pretty strict consequences, including removal in it, if it comes to that. If there are some prohibitive resource constraints, and those would need to be laid out. But it seemed like the county just decided they weren't going to do this. There wasn't a whole lot of explanation or justification. So again, I hope they come around. I certainly think they have the ability to help transfer some detainees over to ICE upon the request of ICE and the sheriffs.
Okay, and Demings actually doubled down. He said that since the number of detainees has increased substantially recently in Orange County, the ones they're holding, that they're going to have to talk about and renegotiate the amount for reimbursement for just holding them. He's not even talking about transporting them. He's like, we're holding more detainees than we had anticipated, so we want more money for that.
Right. So the question here is this an ideological debate? Orange County's not saying we won't do this because we don't believe this is right. They're saying this is about money.
That's not their job.
And if you want us to transport these prisoners down to Alligator Alcatraz, that requires resources from us. Now, as far as the state's concerned, counties that maybe are less against this plan, maybe more red counties, are making these trips. We've covered how Marion County is sending busloads of inmates. They'll have one deputy drive a big jailhouse bus down to Alligator Alcatraz.
And I think they were helping other counties,
and
too.
they would pick up people from Dixie County. And so they're working together if they want to make it work. So the state's basically saying, are you trying to not go along with our plan here? Are you a sanctuary city?
Yeah.
And Jerry Demings is saying, it's the money, man. Reimburse us for it. We need to talk about
The
this.
other thing that's interesting about this, too, is we found the governor at a news conference in Tampa, and someone asked him a question about this back and forth. This is a little bit of what he had to say.
The Gainesvilles and the Orlandos and some of these little pockets around the state, they end up devolving into de facto sanctuary. Like, yeah, they won't run afoul of our sanctuary laws. They'll know kind of how to do that. So it's not going to be flagrant like LA or flagrant like Chicago or some of these places. But they won't be doing what is necessary so that the policy is effective.
So that's what he's saying. They're using a roundabout way to sort
just
of
enough.
make it difficult. But I know that some people would argue that that's not a fair argument because they're just basically saying we're not going to pay to transport them down 4 hours to the south. We'll still house them.
We're just trying to give you what everyone is saying and be fair and let everyone be heard here.
And it is interesting, you see the little Michael Jackson meme where he's eating the popcorn.
The popcorn and watching.
As a journalist and someone who lives here, it is interesting to watch them bicker back and forth.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see where it ends up.
And going back to the mayor again, talking about how he has a lot of experience, and he's been the chief of police for Orlando. He's also been the sheriff of Orange County, and now he's the mayor. I think he's in his last term. So he does have more than 40-something years of experience. And he's
not really worried about keeping political capital or somebody coming for him at this point in his career. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but it'll be interesting. We will definitely be covering it.
Keep watching it for sure.
Another sheriff's department that has had its fair share, or a county, I should say, Osceola County, that has had a lot of drama recently. We have covered how Marcos Lopez, the sheriff,
the suspended
sheriff, was suspended. He's now charged with racketeering charges. Well, this other case popped up today that we just found out about. A deputy and a civilian employee, both accused of misusing internal computer system and databases.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting case. Supposedly this does not have to do with that illegal gambling case that Sheriff Marcos Lopez has
And we want to be
wrapped up in.
clear about that these are two separate issues.
Separate cases, but clearly the microscope is on the Osceola County Sheriff's Office. And maybe as they poke around, they're finding some more things. These are just accusations at this point and charges. Our community correspondent, Mike Valenti, spoke with the current acting sheriff to figure out what's going on down there.
The current Osceola County Sheriff, Christopher Blackman, alleges that when in office, embattled suspended Sheriff Marcos Lopez knew about one of his deputies' alleged criminal activity and did nothing about it. Blackman says the person whose actions Lopez ignored is Kyle Henry, a 40-year-old deputy sheriff now on administrative leave, arrested Wednesday and accused of trying to access internal computer systems and databases without authorization.
Yeah, so it's similar accusations between the deputy and then a woman who's that civilian employee who was not only accessing according to this report,
Yeah.
questionable things,
Sensitive
but
data,
also
perhaps.
texting her husband about it. And one of the texts they say involved a racial slur, some demeaning commentary. So clearly,
There's
they are
something
looking
going on there.
very closely at Osceola County, at all the employees, to see what kind of culture, what kind of atmosphere was facilitated by the currently suspended sheriff.
Well, I think we're already starting to see a little bit of that. And again, these two cases are not connected as of today. They're not connected, but we don't know what's going to happen once we do connect all the dots, and maybe it does lead back to something else. But right now they appear to be separate cases.
Separate cases, at least at this point.
Yeah, but it's just troubling when you have a department like that has been under so much scrutiny lately. The people of Osceola County are a little concerned about leadership there.
Well, I mean, this is the group charged with protecting them. So
Yeah,
I think
so
they
they are a
want
little
the
worried.
focus on protecting the people of that county and not all this other drama that's going around.
Okay, so moving on now to Marion County. We're covering a lot of counties tonight and
hitting
a
them
lot
all.
of ground
Well, not
tonight.
all
Yeah,
of them, but most.
a lot of the big ones too. The Sheriff Billy Woods in Marion County was very fired up today. He held a news conference because they ran a child sex predator sting. And I listened to the news conference, and one of the first things he said was that we could run a sting like this. This was a short one. It took about 6 days to get 40 of these guys, right? He said we could run one of these stings every month and get the same number, if not more people. And he was just as a cautionary tale to parents, like, know what your kids are doing online, because these men are posing knowing that they're talking or hoping that they're talking to young kids. And he was very upset about that. The other thing he was upset about is that one of the people caught up in the sting is a University of Florida student who is here on a visa. And he wants that student deported immediately. Here's a little bit of what he had to say about the employee who said that we can't do that right now because we have to follow the law.
Here's a clear message to the rest of their employees. And to that employee, now I may not have your name in front of me right now, but you better pray to God you're not a Marion County citizen, because I will do everything to ensure that I could get your out of my county.
And he had some other fiery things to say about that
Yeah,
particular...
so he wasn't talking about a child predator there. He's talking about
He's talking about the employee
at the University of Florida who basically, when they were called, they said, well, we can't just throw
These are
somebody
just
out.
charges.
These are just charges and accusations right now.
Serious ones, though.
Obviously, and I don't think anybody is pro, child sex predator.
Yeah.
But there is still a process, I think, that they have to follow, even though UF has come back and they have agreed to.
Wood says that he's in
follow the
contact with the
demands.
State Department, and they've assured him that that student's visa will be revoked. But, he says he wants that employee who tried. I don't even want to say
that's
protect.
a strange threat to throw out there. You're the sheriff in charge of protecting the people of that county, to then say, hey, you're doing something I disagree with. I hope you're not in my county.
I understand his passion, because he's upset that these 40 predators were in the streets.
Absolutely.
And no one wants them lurking about. And these are charges right now, but some of the charges, they're very, very serious. And you can understand why he would be so upset by anyone who would want to even look like they're protecting any one of these. But you do have to follow the law.
Yeah, no one would disagree. You want sex
absolutely.
predators off the streets.
100%.
And it was interesting because 7 non-U.S. citizens were arrested out of the 40. That does seem like an oddly high number of people in this case. The other thing he mentioned, I have girls, so I worry about stuff like this. He said there were little boys targeted. So there's a contingent online targeting young boys. A lot of us with girls think that this is just
It's
us
just for girls,
that has
yeah.
to worry about it. But
And the way
it's not
they
the case.
displayed it too, when they had the 40 pictures displayed up there, they had some of them outlined in blue or pink. And he said the blue ones were the ones who were specifically seeking young boys.
Okay.
And one person who they apparently caught had admitted to something. And it sounds terrible, but saying that he had sought out a 9-year-old boy. And that was just, and so he was mad through that whole press conference, and you can understand why.
I can
that was
understand the
upsetting.
passion. If there,
For sure.
Nothing more disgusting
Yeah.
Than that. And good
Oof,
job.
we can
by
all agree on
that
that-
county
on that.
to get these people off the streets. And of course, they'll have their day in court. And
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Interesting story we have coming for you after the break. We're going to lighten things up a little bit.
A lot.
We couldn't go any darker after that last one.
But are we talking a naughty or nice list?
We are talking in, it's almost August, and we're talking about a naughty or nice list based on how much water you're putting on your lawn.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff out of one of our local cities. We'll get back to you right after the break. All right, welcome back to News 6 tonight. Glad to have you with us. You ever have that neighbor with an extra green lawn, even when it's not really that time of year to still have your green lawn, and you just look over at
I'm
them
never
and you're
that
like,
neighbor, by the way.
What is wrong with you? I'm definitely not that neighbor. No,
It's all lush.
part of the year, my whole lawn is weed, and then all that St. Augustine, that beautiful St. Augustine comes back.
This
at one
story
point.
makes me want to look at some of my neighbors because we have a contest in our neighborhood called Yard of Distinction. We've not won it ever.
You haven't won it. Okay, well, maybe the problem is you're not watering your lawn too much. And so there's an interesting plan in Oviedo. Oviedo Mayor Megan Sladek, and she is an interesting, very passionate mayor, and she's an interesting person. She has an interesting proposition here. Okay, so she's planning to publish who the biggest water users in specific communities are. So her plan, according to her, is you're going to walk around and be like, oh,
Look at this lawn.
that's why your lawn is so green, because you're
And
using
lush.
up all the water.
All the drinking water.
Yeah, because it's not reclaimed water
Yeah.
in these communities. They can't just suck them out of ponds.
Exactly.
They're using the actual
Yeah.
water, you know. So it's kind of interesting because she's thinking people are going to compare notes and maybe say, oh, this person's not on the naughty list, and they have a great lawn. What are you doing, neighbor? How are you doing this? So she says comparing the bills is going to just help them figure out how much water they should use. Rebecca Edwards joining us.
Oh, hi,
Ginger and
Rebecca.
Matt are such a great team. I remember I met her at an event many years ago.
Oh,
Good
that's
to see
awesome.
you, Rebecca. So our community correspondent, Jaina Manohalal, spoke with the mayor about this plan to see how it's going to work.
We need people to stop using drinking water on their grass to do the most we can for the aquifer.
Do you think they even know that they're using potable water?
No. A lot of people I don't think realize it.
Sladek says these neighborhoods don't have access to reclaimed waters, but there is a quick fix. Use plants that don't use a ton of water.
You better watch out. You better not water.
So, hey, Demetria Williams, hey, Gigi and Matt,
Oh,
you guys are doing
hi.
a great job. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for watching.
Love
We
that.
appreciate you, Demetria. I feel like this could be a little bit of a shaming Is that possible?
Or your neighbor's going to turn into narcs. I mean, are they going to just be,
I don't want my neighbors to have any extra information on me. How much I'm paying for my water bill.
But when you have communities that have hours that you can water and not water, you see them with their sprinklers on like 24/7. You get a little upset about that. I want somebody to know.
You're that neighbor?
No,
You're going to call them in?
I'm not going to call them in, but I do want the environment to be healthy and not use all of that water that we really need. It's not an endless supply, even though it looks like it.
You and I have interviewed together a Florida water management expert, and they were telling us that with all of the growth and all of the new people, that we got to be careful with this aquifer of ours because it is hitting lower levels.
That's
but
right.
Here's what I think. Shaming neighbors or pointing out how neighbors are doing with their water usage is one thing, but a lot of these businesses around here use way more water than individuals. So if you really want to make a difference, maybe ask a theme park how much water they're using.
Okay.
Did I cross a line?
You stepped right in it, sir. That's why.
Because those theme parks use a few gallons themselves.
Watch this segue. We're going to talk about.
You don't want to go down this road.
No,
Okay.
I don't. None of us do. Matt's. I always have to keep him in check. Okay. We had that big earthquake, 8.8, like one of the most powerful on the planet. No,
yes.
The world did. And it was just off the outside of Russia.
Right.
And it happened last night. And everybody was thinking it's going to spark these huge tsunamis. Now, some places did get up to 6 feet of water, I think. But thank goodness it's not as bad as what we were thinking was going to happen. But then you think about Florida and you're like, why are you talking about Florida and tsunamis?
We're not worried about tsunamis.
We worry about hurricanes. We worry about terrible thunderstorms and all kinds of other crazy things. But meteorologist Jonathan Kagas is going to join us right now, and he's going to tell us that we have had tsunamis in the past, which when he brought that up, I was like, how? How is this even possible?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. It's only happened like a handful of times in the state's history documented because there's just no fault lines across the board. And I'm going to show you a couple of things here. First and foremost, if we're still sharing the screen, this is where the earthquake happened last night. Again, the 8.8 magnitude earthquake right off the coast of Russia there. And again, just incredible that these tsunami waves can propagate that far across and do as much damage. Again, luckily, as you mentioned, it wasn't crazy for the United States and for most areas. My Earth started spinning a little too early, but I wanted to go back to the Atlantic side because that's what we're interested in. The deal with the Atlantic side here is we have the big fault line in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. So we have the North American plate kind of sliding off to the west, and we have the plate over that includes Europe and parts of Africa that's kind of sliding off in the other direction. So it's making a ridge. Things are pulling apart in the middle of the Atlantic, so there's no pressure to force it up. Now, we do have a subduction zone, and that's the kind of fault line that happened last night in Russia. It's where the two plates, one's kind of being forced underneath, and then eventually there's so much pressure that builds up, and then one just kind of it just lets go like a rubber band, and then it forces all of the water up. We do have one of those nearby, and that's how we got the Lesser Antilles and part of the Greater Antilles to develop. That's as the North American plate is moving to the west, and it's the cold front drawn there. It's actually just what that is. It's the same kind of deal. The arrows point to which way the plate is moving, and it's going underneath the Caribbean plate, and every now and then we do get some pretty big earthquakes on the Caribbean plate. However, look how small that is compared to the Pacific plate as we'll take a trip around the world and all of the pressure that's being forced underneath. And this is why we get called the Ring of Fire here. There's a lot of extra fault lines way out in the west and the Pacific. So when you get one of these things to rupture, it is much more energy released. And that's why you get the big tsunami waves. So certainly it's possible in the Atlantic, but the aerial coverage of the earth kind of moving and shaking and slipping and subducting is just much on a much smaller than it is on the Pacific side. So that's how you can get a tsunami in Florida, but it rarely happens.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I just have a quick question for you two guys. Have you ever been in an earthquake where an earthquake has happened? Have you ever felt one?
I felt one time in Oklahoma. It's the only time in my life
Isn't
I've
it the
ever felt
weirdest
it.
thing?
It was so. I thought I was
never
having a seizure. So I didn't know what was
the
going on.
ground feels like a wave, literally,
the one
like
thing
liquid.
You feel like is always constant is
Yeah.
that the ground is there beneath you.
Yeah.
So it is.
You've
it's
been in
very
one,
strange.
Ginger?
Oh yeah. And it was in South Carolina, actually, strangely enough. And I
Crazy.
didn't know what was happening, but it just felt like, wow, a wave under your feet.
That is
It's
crazy.
a weird feeling.
Great explanation.
Thank you,
Kagas.
Jonathan.
Thank you
Yeah.
so
You
much.
got it.
We appreciate you. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back.
Oh, I love
Another
this story.
Crazy story when we come back. Thanks.
All right, welcome back to our final segment tonight. It's one of my favorite stories. Steve Hartman, one of my favorite reporters
so
of all
good.
time. He's awesome. He found this guy who moved to Florida recently, to Tampa, and had lived out west where there are mountains, and he was climbing mountains. He wanted to find all the high spots, the high points in every county, all 67 counties in Florida. Here's part of that report.
This is potentially the Mount Everest of Union County.
This one was in a well-manicured public place, but other county high points are deep in the woods or on private property.
Yeah, I think that tree over there is it.
In this case, the home of Debbie Mitchell.
Do you think it's at all strange that somebody drove all the way from Tampa to stand in your yard? Okay.
And this isn't even his most absurd ascent.
Pinellas County, Countryside Mall, front door of JCPenney's, I think, is a strong contender. You know, so I bought a shirt at that one.
Sir Edmund Hillary, he is not. But Andrew says, so what?
I love that story. I've
So
been
good.
to that mall too. That's so funny.
Did you buy
I
a
didn't
shirt
know-
at that mall?
No, I didn't. But love the fact that he went to all the
Highest
points.
point in Florida. Do you know what it is?
I don't know, but I know in our area is Mount Dora. Not Mount Dora. It's Claremont.
Britton Hill, the highest in Florida, at a whopping 345 feet above sea level. Crushing it. All right. Oh, it's in the picture. Oh, look at that.
There it is. Look at
Nice
us.
job. All right,
Hey.
you have a good night. We'll see you at 10.
Bye.